Sin hacer ruido.
Okay, we have Mr. Treviño here in ROCA in the group of fame, and we have him to talk about his experiences in the industry of dancing.
I was 14 when I started to teach.
14, and when do you start to dance in general?
In general, I like to tease my friends and tell them that I was a child star because, excuse me,
Take your time.
I would dance at the drop of a hat. I was a little kid, like 5 years old or whatever, and then everybody would come to town because we didn't have malls at the time. And so I would bring my little Vitrola and I would hook it up in any of the stores that I was at, and I'd bring my little records. And what was popular at the time was Mambo with Perez Prado. And then so I would dance.
Yeah,
And that's how I got started.
yeah, it sounds nice, you know?
Yeah. When I was in the fourth grade, Mr. Rafael Samarripa from Bellas Artes out of Mexico City, he was a young man at the time. He came to teach dances for Charo Days, and we used to have only 12 elementary schools. And so he taught me 12 dances. The following year, he didn't come back. So I would teach the teachers from each of the schools, and the principals would come and pick me up at Canales Elementary and take me to their campuses, and I would teach the teachers and review the dances with them. And I did that from the 8th grade until I graduated in 1962. So that's how they would do the dances every year for Charo Days. We would just repeat the same dances over and over again because that's all I knew. And Mr. Samarripa is now an icon in Mexico. Of course, he's probably in his 80s or maybe even 90s. But he was the director of Ballet Folklórico in Guadalajara at the University of Guadalajara for many years. So he's very well known in Mexico and in the United States because he comes to the United States to teach intensives, okay? And so because of him, I learned folklórico. And then, of course, later on in the years, I enrolled with Asociación Nacional de Grupos Folclóricos. The instructors come from Mexico, and they have to be from the state that they're teaching. So if they're from Jalisco, they have to be from Jalisco. If they're teaching Jalisco, they have to be from Jalisco or whatever state they're teaching. So that's very interesting. I think you all need to join that organization, and because you will learn a lot of different dances and the customs and culture that goes with it. Because you not only learn choreographies, you learn history. Okay. So like I said, I started teaching when I was 14. The same thing with the ballet, the tap, and the jazz. One of the girls at school was taking dance classes from a dance studio here in Brownsville, which was with Miss Jane Jennings. She has already passed. And so she asked me to be her partner. Well, I did well, so Mrs. Jennings took me under her wing, and she's the one that taught me how to read dance notes. She would take me all over the United States so that I could learn ballet, tap, jazz, and folklórico, and ballroom. And she would pay all my expenses. And we went to Dallas, to San Antonio, to New Orleans, to Chicago, San Francisco, Kansas City. She would take me everywhere, and she would pay for all my expenses. And I, in turn, would help her teach at her studio during the school year. And that's how I learned ballet, tap, and jazz, because of her. Okay.
What a nice person.
Yes, she was very nice to me. Now, at Texas Southmost College, we had a dance instructor. Her name was Joe Sabrino. Well, the lady passed away. They hired Dr. Judy Walton. I don't know if any of you ever have met her. I don't think so, because she was already retired about 10 years ago or something. At any rate, she was from Wisconsin, blonde hair, blue-eyed. She knew nothing about folklorico. So somebody told her about me. So she would go to Falk and pick me up and take me to the college. And I would teach her steps, and I would teach her choreographies, and I would perform with the dancers from Texas Southmost College. But yet I was in the 8th grade. Mm-hmm. So here I was, 14 years old, teaching at the college. So that's how I got started with folklorico also. Oh. Okay. And then, of course, I taught through high school. Yeah. And then years, and back in 46 or 47, we used to have a girls' drill team at the high school. But they decided they wanted a band, so they changed. All of those girls became part of the Eagle Band, which would now be Hannah, right? So the girls all became the band, so that we had no drill team. The only ones that had drill teams in the valley was Edinburgh, the Sargenettes, and far San Alamo, the Barretts. Okay, so then with my vision, when I was a sophomore in high school, I went and I talked to the PE teacher, and I says, why don't we create a drill team? I can teach the girls how to march, how to twirl, how to dance, but you be the sponsor. So they approved it. It was approved by the board. So I created the Golden Eaglettes from Hannah. Now, when Mrs. Roseanne Salinas took over, she changed the name from Golden Eaglettes to Golden Strutters. So that's why now they're called the Golden Strutters. But it was my vision to have drill teams in the district. So now we have drill teams in the elementary, middle school, and high school because of my vision. Hopefully, Dr. Ruben Torres from the university, a retired professor, is going to be speaking on that during the ceremony that we have later on the 24th. He's going to be one of the key speakers, and he will address that particular situation when I had that vision to have drill teams in the school district again.
Thank you very much for that, Dan.
Yeah. Then, of course, I've taught, when I was like 6 years old, I was taking tap, with another instructor, and his name was Joe Kershell. And we would have the recitals at the Majestic Theater on stage once a year in May. And there was a young lady, her name was Chicky Samano. She was an excellent dancer. So, because of her, I became a dance instructor because I loved to see her dance. She was awesome, and I would not miss any of her shows. And because of her, I became a dance teacher, and I honored her in my first recital that I had in 1977. I honored her by presenting her with a bouquet of roses and a reception after the recital, and it was at the Civic Center. And needless to say, the auditorium was jam-packed. Okay, you know how big that place is?
No, not really.
The Jacob Brown Auditorium?
No.
Okay.
Is it huge?
Yes, over here at the college.
Oh,
that auditorium, yes. So, at any rate, she was my inspiration to become a dance instructor. And so
thanks to her, you became this huge inspiration to others as a dance teacher then.
Right. So I have worked as a consultant with the Brownsville Independent School District since 1958. So I've been teaching dance for 66 years.
a lot of
I
time.
was able to, even though, like you see right now, that I'm trouble walking and how, I was still able to teach January and February this year at Gonzales Elementary. They did San Luis Potosi. So I don't know if y'all know dances from there. They're from the Huasteca region, and they're difficult dances. But I was holding on to dear life to my staff. I have a staff instead of a cane. And then they asked me to do the dance so they could see what it looked like. And I says, well, I can do the steps, but I can't do the choreography because you need everyone involved, right? Well, I was able to do the dance from start to finish at tempo without falling. But then, um, when I had to walk back to my car, I was walking like you all saw me walking here. It took me forever to get back to the car, but at least I didn't fall when I was demonstrating the dance. Okay, now, then I was diagnosed with cancer, and then I was told that I had 6 months to live. And this was in 2020. Well, I'm still here. I haven't kicked the bucket, but because of my passion for folklorico, they told me that I had only until February. Thank you. I had until February. You know what came to mind? I hope I die after char days. Isn't that ridiculous? That is so dumb. It was like, okay, I'm going to be in char days, and as soon as it's over, then I can go ahead and die. But see, it's my passion. My passion is to dance.
You're a fighter, sir.
Yeah.
What you got to say about that?
So so here I am, still struggling, and I've changed to holistic medicine. I'm still doing the chemo and radiation. Nothing has worked. So the next thing is for me to go to Houston to MD Anderson, and we'll see what happens after that. But 3 days ago, I changed to holistic medicine. That means natural stuff, and we'll see what happens. The doctor told me, he says, come back in 2 weeks. You're going to be a lot better than you are right now. So I have confidence that it's going to work. Okay.
What was teaching older people than you in that age?
Well, that never bothered me. I would dance with the ladies, and Miss Jennings would dance with the gentlemen, and they were all married couples that took dance classes. And cha 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 was very popular at the time. Mambo, danzón, some of those dances, the hully gully for the teenagers, and so yeah, I had no problem working with adults. And throughout the years, I have worked with all levels of dancers. Um, I was a consultant at Russell Elementary, and we had from pre-K to fifth grade. And that's all I taught all day long. I taught dancing. And each class was 45 minutes long. And I only had 20 minutes for lunch. And we had a dance recital at the Jacob Brown Auditorium because at that time I was teaching at Victoria Heights Elementary, at Canales Elementary, and at Russell. And then I had my own studio. So that year I had 4 recitals every night, 4 nights consecutively, and each show was different. So that was a real experience. Okay. And then I worked as a consultant for the school district for the teaching the dances for Charo Days. So I've taught at many, many elementary schools in Brownsville. And sometimes they would joke that it was my dance recital, but it was a fiesta folclórica because I had most of the schools that I taught. Now, right now, they only have 9 schools that perform every year, and then a middle school and a high school. Well, I've taught at Pace High School, at Lopez High School, and at Porter, and the high schools. And middle school, I've taught at Falk, at Vela. What else? What other high middle school? Well, I don't recall, but anyway, I've taught at several middle schools in Brownsville, and of course, the majority of them were um, in the elementary level. And then I was a consultant in Harlingen at Lieutenant George Gutierrez Middle School, and I taught folklorico there. And I was choir consultant for San Benito High School with a show choir. So they the girls sing and they dance, and they did numbers from Footloose. Y'all know that movie,
Yeah,
Footloose.
I think so.
And we took them to competition. They got a first division rating. So we brought back a huge trophy. And then I was also a show choir consultant at Winston Churchill High School in San Antonio. Now, that was super successful because they not only won locally, we went to state, they won state. They took them to Denver, Colorado, and for a festival, and they won overall. So
They were good.
we did Le Jazz Hot from Victor, Victoria. That's what they learned. That's the show that we had. The numbers from Victor, Victoria. And so that was my biggest success as far as teaching jazz and at the high school level. Then I started teaching at Texas Southmost College, and I taught there for 10 years. That was in 1977. Then in 2000, I started working for UTB, which is the University of Texas at Brownsville. And I taught for them for 12 years. And so we had what was called the Dance Institute. And so we had ballet, tap jazz, folklorico, and that sort of thing. Well, I was the lead instructor for that department called the Dance Institute. Then during the summer, they have a program called Kids College. And I was also the lead instructor for Kids College. I was also an English instructor, and I was the lead instructor. I was a substitute instructor in the Language Institute. I was a counselor at Texas Workforce Commission through the university, trying to settle all the people that had been laid off. For example, we had a company here in Brownsville called Eagle Bus Lines, where they would make buses, like the Greyhound buses. Well, they closed the plant down, so all those people had to be retrained. So they would go to me at the Workforce Commission office, and then I would help them decide what field to go into and what field to study. And they would also get paid to go to school. So most of the young ladies, they wanted to be secretaries and learn how to use a computer, and the gentlemen, well, they wanted auto mechanics or carpentry or that sort of thing. So that's what I did. That was my job. I was also a presenter. I would go before classes and teach different subject matters. For example, waste management, how to interview for a job, how to dress for a job, telephone etiquette, and many, many different courses that I would teach for the university. And so I was a jack of all trades as far as I was always getting rinkadood into doing this or that. And it was always, the dean wants to see you in his office, Mr. Trevino. Oh, God, here we go. What do I have to do now? But I stayed busy. I always had a job. And I was very successful in everything that I did. So I'm very happy about that. Because my training was in dance, not in English or any other subject. But yet I was able to do that. And I was lead instructor simply because the students felt that I helped them the most of all the instructors. So for that reason, I got promoted to lead instructor for all of these different departments. And I asked, I said, well, what are you basing this on? Because there was a lot of people, they had their master's degrees in English or whatever subject we were working with, but yet I was the one that got promoted. And because I would help the students the most. I would be the first one in the morning, the last one out in the afternoon. And so the other instructors would just, they'd come in late, they'd leave early, they'd do all kinds of silly stuff. And so they couldn't be depended on. So it's very important for you all to understand that whenever you dedicate yourself to something, that you complete the task, that you're there on time, that you don't leave early, stay behind, see what else can be done, and be disciplined. Have self-discipline. That is so hard for the boys and girls of today. Most everybody, they don't care. It just goes in one ear and out the other, and that's not good. You want to be successful. So I would like for you all to feel a passion for yourself, to make yourself a good person, a better person.
Yeah, always try to be your best in everything you can. That's what I think.
Exactly. Don't give up. If you fall down, get yourself back up.
Yeah, always. Like,
Yeah.
it's about life that like never go down and let yourself down. Always
Right.
try to go
And
up.
like with the dancing, it's a lot of fun. It's hard when you're training because you're learning. Well, basically, you just try to do your best in what you do. Have a passion for what you do. It doesn't make any difference what it is, um, but the training is what is hard, and especially when you study with instructors from Mexico. They're very strict. None of this business that you're going to the restroom. You don't go to the restroom. You have to stay there, and you better not leave the classroom because you're going to get yourself in trouble. And then you practice from 8 in the morning to 8 at night. And you talk about blisters, big time blisters. And can you sit down? No. No, you cannot sit down. You have to dance. Get up and dance. Okay? No excuses. You better be there every day or else. Right? And but by the time that you're ready to perform, you can do any of those dances without even thinking how to do them. I studied with the Ballet Folclórico Nacional de Mexico de Silvia Lozano, and I studied in Dallas. They would send the instructors to Dallas, and it was 3 months of studying, and then the performance. And we did La Guelaguetza from Oaxaca, and that was the cuadro that I was in. So we did a lot of different dances, but they were all concerning that. Okay, and so it's been an adventure. Um, I've taken classes from prima ballerinas, from jazz masters, from ballroom instructors of all and all different phases of ballroom and different styles. So I have a lot of knowledge as far as dancing is concerned, in all levels and in all different styles. So it's I thank God that I was able to accomplish as much as I did, and so it's been fun.
Okay, one more question before I leave.
Okay.
My friend, yes. Let's switch places
Okay,
and he
fine.
will ask you more
Oh.
questions.
Okay.
Um, this is a little bit more personal, I would say, but okay. In all your dance career, which moment do you say like was the most memorable? Like, is everything you think of dancing, you think of that? Like your dancing though.
Well, the recitals were always my passion. Um, Performing on stage, doing all the different dances, and which usually I was in about 8 numbers, at least 8, maybe 10. So it was like hurry up and change, and hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Um, uh, a funny situation is we went to dance in Laredo. Well, that auditorium is twice as big as the Jacob Brown Auditorium. And we were doing Romeo and Juliet, my partner and I. Well, I would do tours jetés around the stage. Well, little old stupid me, I figured I was going to cover that whole stage. Well, I started turning, and before you knew it, I was lost on stage because they have the spotlights on you, and it's like, where am I? Right?
You cannot see like
You can't see where you're at, and I couldn't even find my partner, and so I stop and I start posing, and I'm looking around like, where are you? Right? And I can't see her. I was, oh my God. So I keep on dancing and I go like this. I finally see somebody and the wings, right? Well, I didn't know. I thought it was my partner. I go like this and it's my dance instructor. They said, the other way, fool. And so I started turning. Finally, I found my partner. And she says, where the hell have you been? Luckily, it was one of those Romeo and Juliet music is super long. So you have plenty of time to ad lib or whatever, right? So anyway, when at, at the end of the dance, we embrace and we walk off stage, right? And so we did. Well, afterwards at the reception, the dance instructor asked, she performed also. She did a flamenco dance. And so she asked her mother, well, what number did you like the most? He said, oh, I like Rick and Gloria. And we burst out laughing like, oh my God, lady, if you only knew what happened up on stage, right?
the
But
confusion we felt in the moment.
oh my God, I was so scared. I said, never again will I get away from this girl. But we would do all kinds of stuff. We were crazy kids. We were like in our 20s. And after every performance, we would go eat. And our dance instructor, we would, you know how if you go to a restaurant, they give you something extra if it's your birthday?
Oh yeah.
We would sing happy birthday to our teacher every time. He says, stop it. Don't you all do that again. No, we won't do it. And then pretty soon, happy birthday. And then bring us a piece of pie or cake for about like 8 of us, right? But so it was fun. You know, once you perform and that you're going to go celebrate, you know, entonces, yeah, that's where the fun comes in. The training is hard because you got to be perfect, you know, or as perfect as you can be. And we would like to tease the other couples because we were soloists. Either I would stand by myself or my partner would dance by herself, or we were a duet. And everybody else danced in the chorus. Well, my partner's name was Gloria. And she says, oh, you don't have to be nice to her, because kids would pass by and say, well, hi, Rick, and hi, this, Gloria, and all that. And she said, oh, hello. And then she says, we don't have to be nice to them. They dance in the chorus. But that was just a way of us joking and doing that, making them upsetting the little kids, you know. It says, oh, you know, like Miss Gloria and Mr. Rick and all that. Oh, you dance in the chorus. Bye-bye. But it's fun. It's a lot of fun when you perform. And then the best part is when you go have dinner afterwards.
Like everything in life, no? The hard part is preparing yourself, but the good part is like doing it with all the confidence in the world.
Yeah, because by then, by performance time, yeah, you know what you're doing. Yeah. But you have to apply yourself during training. Yes.
You don't go nowhere.
No, no, not at all. So anyway, that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
But thank you so much for
yeah,
interviewing
thank
me.
you. It was my pleasure.
Edson, thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. I will leave you with Maximo.
Maximo, okay. You're next, Maximo. Bye, amigo. Gracias. Okay. Hello.
Okay, so whenever I heard you talking, I really got really emotional because everything you've been through it was like a wow. How much years? 66?
I believe so. We were trying to subtract 1958 from 2024.
Ooh, maybe they can get it.
Well, he said it was 63. I thought it was 66, but bueno.
66. Es bastante como quiera.
Yes.
Well, the question-
Can you figure it out? Subtract 1958 from 2024.
That I wanted to ask you was there any people that you look up to, or what was your motivation?
Well, like I started to tell you, Miss Chicky Samano
Mhm.
was the one that was instrumental.
Mm.
Because she was already in high school and I was in elementary when we took classes, okay? And so I always looked up to her and I loved the way she danced and what have you. So because of her, I became a dance instructor. And then, of course, many instructors that I had that motivated me, and I could see that how beautifully they danced. And so I wanted to do that too. So to me, it was not hard. I enjoyed every minute of it. Um, the hardest part was from the instructors from Mexico because they're very super disciplined. They don't let you get away with murder. You can't take breaks when you want to. You can't drink water.
You can't even sit down.
You
or
can't
anything.
sit down. You're tired. That's too bad. You have a blister. That's too bad. You got to keep on dancing. And you have to work through it, through the pain. And if you have the performance, I don't care if you're dying, you're going to go out. You're going to go out there. Yeah, that's Mexico for you. So, yeah, we don't have that in the United States, okay? But in Mexico, they are very, very strict. Yeah, and so they'll. you better be prepared.
Something else that I was gonna ask you that I found super amazing was that you made some of your costumes.
Yes.
And like this one,
No, but I bought that. Mito.
that one,
Yeah, that's store bought.
store bought.
Yeah, but I would have the seamstress make my costumes. A lot of them, especially like from Oaxaca and different states that they really don't have costumes made. You just have to make them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had a seamstress. Well, I had several seamstresses that would make the costumes for me and for my students. And
Wow.
yeah, so you work 24/7 because not only was I teaching, I had to figure out all the costumes
Costume.
and get the material and then check with the seamstress, make sure that it was being done and being done right. Because if it was done wrong, then they have to take it apart and do it again. Yes,
Wow.
because I try to be as authentic as possible. And like, for example, you've heard, like they'll say ballet folklórico.
Mhm.
Okay, those are not authentic because you're putting in ballet. So like the dancers from Bellas Artes, Amalia Hernandez, that's ballet. They do a lot of ballet. If for it to be authentic, it has to be grupos folclóricos because those are authentic. They don't deviate from, they don't create. The dances are already set. They have set choreographies and you do, that's the way it is.
Como una diferencia.
But you don't change the choreography. Okay? With the ballet folclórico, you can create your own. So that's the difference between ballet folclórico and grupos folclóricos. Right. You can have both, pero if you have a recital and you decide to do a number let's say that you do it from Veracruz, but you don't use you use a traditional costume, but you put in something different that is not supposed to be there. Then what you need to do is on your program you put contemporary routine. That means that you made a change from the authentic to modern. So it's called contemporary routines. Okay, so you have to know these things. That's the technicality of it, and you need to know the music, because you can have the same song for 5 different states, but depending on the instrumentation is what state it's from. For example, if you have a song from Veracruz, well, then you want to hear the harp, because that's the main instrument, right?
Yeah.
But if you hear a guitar, it could be from maybe Tamaulipas, or it could be from Jalisco. Or if you hear the trumpets, well, then obviously it's from Jalisco, but it's the same song from different states. So the instrumentation is very crucial, and that you're playing the right song from the right state. You can't mix the music. So you need to know that too. You need to learn about that.
Yeah. Was there ever a performance that you say that was your top favorite one, that you most enjoyed and got a lot of like recognition out of?
Well, believe it or not, the one in Laredo that I got lost on stage, and then that our instructor's mother liked our number more than her own daughter's. And then the silliness that happened on that stage, and yet we were the favorites of the show. But it was also the music, and it was the costuming, the lighting, because we were doing Romeo and Juliet, which is ballet.
You felt that was your passion?
Yeah.
Like seeing the lights, the music.
Oh, sure.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, the spotlights, because sometimes if you dance a solo, they put a spotlight on you. So that I always liked that. That was so pretty.
I find that pretty amazing, because whenever I see like people dancing, just me seeing the spotlight on them gets me nervous. So like I wonder like how people like you would just naturally just dance and make it so.
And you really can't see. You better not look at that light. Just look wherever you want to look, but don't look at the light. Like here, this one, you don't look at that light, because you blind yourself, right? Yeah. And just smile and keep on going.
Even if you mess up.
Yeah, and don't fall off stage.
No, because if no, we're gonna have some bad stuff. Another question was kind of a personal one. Was there ever a time that you felt like giving up or just leaving everything to the side?
Never. I went through a lot of hardship, financially, because you're running a business, and there's always expenses, and you're getting to the nitty gritty because you got to put the show on, and you're running out of money, and people haven't paid, and it gets hairy, because you got to, hey, excuse me, but you need to pay, and I need the money, and this sort of thing. Eventually, it all fell into place, but you go through periods where it gets hairy, because you're thinking, oh my God, how am I going to pay for this? How am I going to pay for that?
Because it's a lot of expenses.
The
suits.
And then, with the seamstresses, because they knew that I would eventually pay them, then that's where I would use the monies that was for them to pay other bills, because then I could always pay them later, you see. So the seamstresses were a very important aspect for financial assistance, because I could put them on the back burner, and say, I'll pay you later. And that was not a problem. And I did many times. I would pay for costumes later. Yeah. Because you have to pay for the auditorium, you have to pay for the props, and just on and on. You got to pay all the technicians, the people that are filming, the people that are recording, the stage hands, all of that. You have to do that. You have to pay all that ahead of time.
Another question that I had was, what or who was your motivation to keep on going?
Uh, well, once I got started, it was just me. But initially, it was Miss Chicky Samano. Yes.
So that was your like, your to look, whoever the person you look up to.
Yes.
That's really cool.
Yes. And I honored her with a reception and a presentation at the Jacob Brown Auditorium here in Brownsville to thank her for motivating me.
Wow. To the new dancers or people who want to be like, they want to look up to someone else, what do you recommend? Like, for people who want to be dancers like you.
Well, I think you have to develop that. I don't know that I wanted to be a dance instructor when I started. I just wanted to dance, right? But eventually, because I was involved in this every day, well, then I became interested in being an instructor. Well, I was. When I was 14, I was already teaching. So it just came naturally to me. I mean, I didn't think it was a job. I was having fun, you know. And it was a work because I taught a lot of quinceañeras. Every weekend I had a quinceañera. And so that was another thing, right? And I would teach him waltz dances, right? And which I had studied. So the dances were not, there's different types, styles of waltz. And my favorite was the English, okay? Did you ever see The Sound of Music?
Yeah.
Okay, did you remember the dance that they did in the garden? Von Trapp and Julie Andrews?
The 16 go into something room? What's that?
No. It was a waltz. They did a waltz.
Was I saw that movie, but like a long time ago.
Okay. Well, that type of dance is a different style of waltz because you have American waltz, you have English waltz, Vienna waltz. So I would teach different styles. Yes. So yeah, you gotta keep on studying, and you gotta learn as many different things as you can. Yeah.
And then, was there ever a goal, like a certain goal that you had, and did you ever reach that goal?
Well, I did reach the goal because I went professional by having my own studio. Once you open your own studio, then you're a professional.
What was your studio called?
Ballet International.
Ballet International. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
What was that, in Mexico or here in Texas?
Here in Brownsville.
Brownsville?
And then I also had another one called Stage Arts Dance Academy.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Harlingen, I had Theater for the Performing Arts.
Wow.
Yeah. And there we taught everything like you do here. The percussion and the ballet, the tap, the jazz.
And I'm sure that was super challenging having 3 schools.
Yes, it was very hard. And I had 2 schools in San Antonio at one time.
Wow.
And those were called Monique Marnell School of Dance.
So you basically had like 4 heads in each school, like having everything.
Well, they weren't all at the same time.
Oh, okay. So it was like a certain period of years.
Yeah. The one in Harlingen, the one in Brownsville, yes, they were together at the same time. Mm-hmm. That was murder. Going back and forth.
Yeah.
And then the teachers wouldn't show up, and so there was a headache. So Harlingen didn't work. So I just came back to Brownsville. I said, to heck with this, because you worry about everybody. You can't just worry about yourself. Mm-hmm. And then if the instructor doesn't show up, what are you going to do with the students? Then you got to give them credit, right? Because they didn't take the class. Mm-hmm. And so it was a nightmare. That did not work. So moral of the story is just have one studio and don't kill yourself.
Right.
So, but yeah, that one studio worked.
Okay. Well, it was a pleasure having you here. Was there anything else you want to add to the podcast or anything?
Well, I just want to thank everyone for inviting me to be here today, this afternoon, and I've enjoyed being interviewed, and I hope to see you all soon at my reception. Thank you very, very much.